I'd like to call to order the meeting of the August 15th, the August 15th meeting of the Board of Select Persons. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a quorum, even though we're missing 2 members. They haven't let us know that they weren't coming. So at this point in the meeting, we open it up to public comment for any item that's not on the agenda that members of the public would like to bring to our attention. Bruce.
Yeah, it's just one thing, I just wanted to, so it's on public record, I already spoke to Lauren about it a few minutes ago, yeah. So, the issue on the Wings Mill, at the intersection of Wings Mills and Manchester Road, kind of got, kind of a bad again, Friday night. They had somebody did another burnout, looks like the vehicle probably almost rolled over, they lost all the contents of the back of the body on the middle of Manchester Road and left it, and one of them was a spare tire. Somebody, I mean, that's another reason for the light.
Right.
If somebody would have came down through and not seen that spare tire in the middle of the road, it could have caused a pretty serious accident. So I was wondering if maybe we could send another letter to the sheriff's office and see if we can get nighttime coverage, a little more coverage. They've been doing a lot more daytime coverage, but I have not seen them very much in the area at night, just mainly during the day. So we get a little bit more night coverage. Just wanted to bring that up just so it's on public record. So
Thank you. Lauren, is that something that you can
Absolutely.
look into for us?
Yes.
Dan just sent a message, he said he's camping with the grandkids, he's trying to zoom in, the internet is really slow, he's gonna try again in about an hour.
Oh, no.
He can find, he says he'll try to just stay with this.
Let's go to the phone booth.
Okay, Kathy, you had your hand up?
Yeah. Hi there, Kathy Atkinson representing the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village. Last time I was here was just about 4 months ago, was on April 18th. And at that time, we had the opportunity to speak with the board and let them know that we wanted to go ahead and try and get a proper contract to work towards bringing a parking lot for Belgrade Lakes Village. So here I am tonight, almost 4 months later, and very happy to tell you that at this point in time, we do have a property under contract. It's a property that is immediately adjacent to the village green. It is the property that currently has the storage lots on it. And if you continue on down south on 27, you'd almost be at the dairy bar. So right there, right next to the green. We are not closing on this property until January 31st of 2024. And let me tell you what we've been doing in that intervening 4 months. We have contracted with John Burke, a well-respected parking consultant from Massachusetts. He's been here, he's performed the studies, we've been in contact with him and have a lot of information and action from him. And the written report will most likely be here in our hands by the end of this month. In addition, we have preliminary contact with a civil engineer who is not under contract yet, but we have made the connection. And if all goes as planned, we will be setting up site studies, all the things that would be necessary to know about that lot for developing it into a parking area, including the various options and the costs, which will help us to work out final plans. And if all does go well and we proceed as we plan to, and we would do that closing, as I said, on January 31st, then our goal would be as soon as February 1st of 2024 to take down the existing buildings including the contract, the cement pour, and follow the conclusions that our board puts together based upon the recommendations of the civil engineer, the parking consultant, et cetera, and move forward in our efforts to provide additional parking for Belgrade Lakes Village. So happy to do that tonight.
Super, that's great news.
Thank you.
Very, very, thank you.
Kathy, about how many parking spaces do you think will be in that line?
It varies depending upon, initial, I'm not going to give you any numbers.
No.
Put anything out there, but I will tell you that depending upon, initial information, there could be some variation, but it would be, let me just say this, it would be a nice number. It would be, something that would provide good relief for, especially as we talked earlier, 4 months ago, event driven, when we had those big events, the village green, it would help with that.
Right, we see all the cars for the concerts out on the west. Road and
Concerts,
on the
all of that
27th.
would, would definitely, we're looking, to make an impact there.
Yeah, that'll be super.
Okay, thanks.
Mary,
Just a quick question, does that fall under commercial development?
Yes,
So an application would have to be.
Right.
filled out.
we have the application.
Okay, thank you. Happy to hear that.
thank you, Kathy.
Thank you,
Thanks
Kathy.
for coming in.
Oh, a pleasure. And Christine is here. She's on-
Thank you, Chris, for coming too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else under public comment?
I just would like to, I like to give credit where credit's due, and since the last meeting, the fire department had their beanhole supper. And it was a big success. There were people there. I think you were maybe 100 people more than they had last time, and the buzz in the room was, this is so wonderful. They'd love to get it. And it was just a really, really good vibe. And I don't know how much money they cleared. Sometimes it's more about the camaraderie and the building and what you do for the town than it is. But just a shout out to the fire department for a wonderful job that they did.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would like to give a shout out to Carol, who 2 weeks ago shared the meeting,
Oh,
since I was felled by COVID, and I'm happy to report that I've had 2 negative tests, 48 hours apart. So if you get COVID, it's not from me. I can say it's out there, and at this point, you don't know where you got it. Well, I have no idea where I got it, but thank you, Carol,
oh, you.
for filling in and doing a great job chairing the meeting. All right, anything else? I move that we approve the minutes of August 1st, 2023.
Second.
Thank you.
Like, let's see.
Anybody have any questions, discussions?
I didn't, I reviewed the minutes last night, didn't have anything that jumped out at me, so.
No, I didn't either.
Melanie? No. Okay, all in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. Carol?
Yes.
And me. Okay, 4 in favor. On the minutes. And now we have some unfinished business. So, I know that we opened discussion on the 4-day leave brochure. And Lorna, do you want to take that, or I know that Peter and Carol have been working, who's been working on this?
Peter's been working on it. I was,
Right, I had come up with some initial draft, just tried to get some kind of skeleton thing that's out there. It's been revised and improved since my initial part, so thank you all for participating in that part. Thank you.
This is kind of a draft, that I put together. I tried to explore double-sided postcards, and that just didn't seem to work, to send something out and then have a piece that you would tear and send back to us. So I did find online, you can get a tri-fold brochure sheet, and it does have one panel that is already perforated. You can tear off and you would mail that
Mail
right
that.
back. So this is actually set up exactly as it would be. It would go out bulk mail. And then we would have to put a stamp on for the piece that would come back to the town. The cost would be approximately $2,750 to $3,000 to do that. That would be, purchasing the paper that we would print in-house, doing the bulk mailing, and then putting a stamp on these to come back.
Could we do it as postage paid for the return? Because we're not going to get 100% return on this, and I know it costs more to do the postage paid, but I'm just wondering for the number of returns that we might get, if that might end up
Have
being.
we ever done postage paid?
No. No.
But we have a mailing
So-
permit you can do.
Yeah,
I just have some comments on this.
Sure.
And so I just would like to share those. I mean, it is the board's decision. I'm not sure what percentage, we send out 3,000, what percentage is the board gonna look at? So say we get 200 back. What is gonna be the board's action to just 200, because that's not really reflective of the town. I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of money to spend. Not sure where we're pulling that money from. We had an employee who left, and I'm not necessarily basing it all on that one individual, but if we had gone to 410s, that employee possibly could have stayed here for another 7 years. And I think that clerks right now, especially those clerks that have experience, are looking for a balance and, willing to take other jobs in other towns if there is that balance. There's no state statute that says we have to be open 40 hours a week. It's up to the board to set the hours. You're always gonna get those people, so say out of that 200 people that come back, 100 people say no. What is gonna be the board's action to that or reaction to that? And, it is the board's decision. The public will adjust, and they do. And I did the research, I gave you 40 towns that had gone to this kind of. And yeah, you're always gonna get complaints. You're always gonna get them no matter what. But when you have municipalities the size of South Portland going and they're changing to a 4-day week on a trial basis, they did it on a trial basis. And so, maybe that's something that the board could consider, doing a trial basis and starting in November, when things are really slowing down, getting the information out there to the public, giving them fair warning that, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it on a trial basis. And, if it doesn't work, we'll readjust. But I think that that's something else to consider, because I feel like this is a lot of money and we're not necessarily gonna get a lot of response back from it. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Do I still support it? Yes, I do.
you still support sending out the brochure?
I don't support sending out the brochure.
But you
I
support the
feel
board-
that
you
it is a
support the
waste
board
of
of meeting.
taxpayer dollars. I do not feel that we are going to get the response back. I do not feel that that is going to happen. But I mean, like I said, it's the board's decision. I think that we may have gotten more applicants if we had something more to offer. But
With an aging workforce
That's
too,
right.
we aren't old, but a lot of us are
I
going
am.
to be gone. But a lot of us are gonna be gone within 10 years. And we're trying to recruit some younger people who will stay here for many years. And that's a really attractive option to get them in, because younger people are looking for that. They're looking for flexibility. They want to be able to take time away to do things, or spend time with their family, or they want to start a family.
And I will say we got no one with any experience in any of the fields. We are starting from scratch. It will be years. I mean, it's taken me 24 years to get to the point that I'm at. And you don't just learn these things. anybody can come in and do some computer things. It's the laws, it's everything else that you need to know to be an experienced clerk to help your residents and to do the right thing for them. Anyway.
Mary, you just can't retire, that's all there is.
Oh, no, I am.
I'll wheel you around the office in your wheelchair.
Depend.
Actually, I agree with Mary. I think this is a big expense, and I think ultimately we're going to need to go to a 4-day week, and we might as well just do it. And we might as well do it on a trial basis.
In the winter.
I would
Well,
say
even
you could start September or October, start in October and do it for
Or
90 days.
December first,
Yeah.
because I've got elections and so December first, start December first. And set a date, start it, you're always gonna get people that are not happy. We're still gonna be open to 42.5 hours because we're gonna still be doing the 11 to 7. So we have a swing shift on Thursdays. We still have that. That's 42.5 hours. You aren't gonna find any municipality in the state of Maine, I will tell you right now, that is open more than 40 hours.
Well, and you know, the other thing is you look in the workforce and all these folks are saying they don't want their people aren't wanting to come back into the office. They want to work remote. And you look at the work piece that people have. We need, not that we work remote, but we need to change and move with what the requirements are. So.
Yeah, and our job, we really can, there isn't one single thing that we can do remote. There is
Oh, no, I'm not
one thing.
suggesting we would be
Right.
remote, but we could do a 10-day week, a 10-hour day,
10-hour
for
day.
10s instead
Which
of that other
offers,
flexibility.
right, the opportunity for earlier in the morning for those people who are traveling.
Bruce? So even if we're gonna do it as a trial or do it, permanent, whatever, I think we need to do a little bit of research on it for one thing is like find out which day of the week the most holidays fall on, that are.
That's Monday.
Monday, so maybe we talked about Monday would be the better day, but maybe Monday should be the day that you do your 4th day because of the holidays, because if not, you're gonna have a lot of 3-day weeks, and that's not gonna make residents very happy, having a
So-
3-day week.
I think that we kind of decided Wednesdays was the slowest day in this office. Fridays, it was determined from the board at the last meeting I was at that, Fridays, it's not a good day. Thursdays and Fridays are paycheck days for a lot of people, and they're coming in to do their business. Mondays, we're usually pretty busy in here on Monday mornings, and
Tuesdays are slow.
Tuesdays are
Wednesdays
slow,
are
but
slow.
Wednesday would just break it up in the middle,
Yeah.
which is our
Tuesdays on
lowest
now.
day, I would say. Not right now.
That's Tuesday. Didn't
Tuesdays and
we have some
Wednesdays.
documentation of?
Yeah, I had Nick run the numbers. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the slowest.
But for staff, if people prefer to do a 2-1-2. As opposed to a one day work, one off, and then 3 days in a row.
I mean, if I were a staff person, I'd want to have 3 days off in a row.
Well,
and I would do it on
ideally,
Monday.
that would be perfect. But
I think eventually we'll end up there. If we put it on Wednesday, it'll eventually get moved to a Monday. Let's just bite the bullet.
Okay,
Okay, Melanie.
my thoughts, my first thought was $3,000, we don't have that in the budget. That's not something that we budgeted for, and we need to not be in the habit of having stuff that we didn't budget. So, I'm not sure I appreciate the work that went into that, I guess I wasn't anticipating a $3,000 price tag. So, but I also think that a Wednesday would be the best day, because it is the sole city office. Mondays, they're cleaning up whatever wasn't finished on Friday, they've got to clean up on Monday. We can't have them pushed up for another day and then another day. So it seems to me if we do it, but I wouldn't suggest a 90-day, I would suggest a 6-month. And we really see what it looks like across 2 seasons. And say, is this working, is this not working? And then perhaps we can, if we didn't get any qualified candidates, if we put it back out with a change in the work week. Then maybe it's not 5 days consecutively, it's 2 on, 1 off, people can plan appointments and things like that on Wednesdays, because they always know it's gonna be their day off. So it gives them 1 day of flexibility during the week. And we'll have to do the Monday holidays, just as we do now. You know, they'll be back in on Tuesday, just like now.
So this is a good discussion. I think the idea of having sent this out would be to get feedback, to be as transparent as possible. Right, and that's why. So I think it's a good concept. The cost was, when you shared how much it was, I did a little gulp. A little bit more than I was thinking too, mainly like what you. So I'm wondering if we could not send this out and make a decision based on both anecdotal evidence that we have as well as staff recommendations that we have. This is just a thought. Perhaps if we do go forward with a 2-season trial period, use something like this as a forum, not as a nail out, but getting input
Absolutely.
and people come in.
Right.
Because if we want to get feedback from those taxpayers who are coming in to do business, let us ask them directly then, without having to mail it.
Right.
So that's just an idea, just tossing it out there.
And we can ask that, you know, when people come, if they would be willing to just, you know, check off, what would they be, you know, acceptable to, or, you know, maybe they're not acceptable to anything.
Nice. Bruce?
And if you're gonna do it that way in the office, right now is the time to do
It's
it.
tax time.
It's tax time, so you're gonna get the most, possibly the most response.
Wherever it's gotta come first.
Is it hot in here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they have the heat on. I always do the dehydrate.
No,
It's dehumidifying.
Well, it says 73 over
Dehydrated.
there. It's 68, so please put that on.
Well, I spoke with Ella Bowman in Oakland, and they've gone to a 4-day week. And they tried to start out with maintaining the office open for 5 days. This was probably in the information that you prepared.
Yeah, I already know all.
Yeah, and they just
did.
found that it was way too difficult. And we would have an even smaller staff. So, you know, I think, but what she did say was that they did not poll the townspeople because they knew that there were gonna be people who weren't gonna be happy. And so they just announced that this is, I don't even think they did it as a trial in Oakland. They just said,
Right.
this is the way it is. And there were a few grumbles, but everybody's gotten used to it. And so much can be done online now too, that, you know, it's not as if coming into the office is the only option.
Yeah. And we encourage it too, and during COVID, we helped people, we were in the office helping people get online and doing those things. So,
And when we get our map digitization up and running,
Right,
that will
that
be
makes another
helpful
help.
too.
Absolutely.
Right. So do we need a vote on this?
We'll probably need to figure out what a start date would be.
Well, we have the new town newsletter coming out in October. And I don't know if we start the 1st of November to the election, would we
I
get
would
the
recommend starting the 1st of December.
1st of December?
Yeah, and that way we're all through, you know, the election, we're through holiday for Thanksgiving and all of that, but I think that would give us that would take us what, next June?
I mean,
June 1.
If we went,
June 1.
there'll be 6 full months.
and then what I would say is to make sure that on the second meeting in May's agenda that we review how it's going to determine if we're gonna continue it.
Yes, Bruce.
And will you keep the Saturdays in the summer months still?
Yeah, we'll keep those 3 Saturdays.
And I think because we have so many people who are seasonal, that to have both Friday and Monday as open days, I think that would be helpful for people.
Agreed.
All right, so I'll make the motion that the town of Belgrade move to a 4-day work week starting December 1st on a 6-month trial period. And that the board will follow up at the second meeting in May of 2024 to review how it's going with staff input. And decide if we're gonna move to that
For Wednesdays.
for Wednesday. So 2 on, Wednesdays off, Thursday, Friday.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, Carol?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And me, I vote yes. That's 4 yeses for a 4-day work week beginning December 3rd.
Okay.
Now I can go back and tell Deb you shouldn't have left. She said she's gonna work on Anthony. I said, good luck.
All right. I move we open discussion on the banking and investment organization.
Second.
And I move that we begin with the banking services. Lauren, wanna take over?
So, Mary, Nick and I reviewed, the proposals. And so I asked them to send me their 1 and 2, and we were all in sync. It was anonymous. We all liked Northeast Bank, very much. Of course, Jason would be our contact there, and Jason worked with Andrew Scoggin previously and has a very long relationship here. And his counterpart, who is the municipal liaison for Northeast, is Matt, who I have a relationship with, when I served in Buckfield. Both are super, Northeast is very proactive, with their customers. And then our second choice, of course, was Andrew Scoggin, which we currently have our, accounts with. If Mary wanted to add in.
Oh, no, I think, just knowing, we had a good relationship with Andrew Scoggin Bank. There was only one thing that I wasn't happy about. And it's when the rates increased, they were not proactive in getting in touch and saying, hey, our rates have increased. This is what we can do for you. That was, but other than that, they were very supportive, but, Northeast Bank, and knowing that Jason's gone over there, he's great to work with. They'll do the sub accounting, they'll make sure that, all the interest is in all the capital reserve accounts as it should be. Everything is broken out, so, and that's how it should be.
They've also waived almost all of the fees, which
Yeah.
not all of the proposals included, so that was a plus as well, because those nickel and dimes get you.
add up.
Right, fill that up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Yes,
I was in favor that they were.
yeah.
So
Any further discussion?
I move that we, move to Northeast Bank for our banking. For our banking.
I'll second that.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Yes, John?
Yes.
And I would vote yes. So we have 4 and 1 absent. In favor of Northeast Bank. And then we have the investment.
So we only,
The extra time.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you much for
giving us this as homework.
And thank you to the staff for narrowing it down. too. That was
So
really.
my eyes were crossing reading one of these to say nothing of all of them.
15.
I know.
So, Bar Harbor is who we're currently with, as you know, and, Tom Dowd, who's a resident and who's, very familiar and up on investment strategies. Because that's what he did. Reviewed some of these proposals originally a few years ago. And out of all of those came up with a recommendation of, Bar Harbor. And again, this time around, felt that they were doing a great job, for us. So the staff was unanimous as well to recommend to the board, to stay with.
So should we put a vote on record?
Yes.
Yes.
I move that we continue our investment management through Bar Harbor Wealth Management.
Second that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Vote yes, so we have 4 yeses and 1.
I'm glad we had a chance to go through these things as a board. I think
Look
it
at
was
them.
healthy to do so.
I had to look up a lot of the acronyms.
Oh, wow.
Because, and sweep accounts, and, I mean, I was Googling.
I was like, this is bigger than
terms.
what I do. I got like 4.
I did a lot of Googling to figure out all the terminology.
And I still don't have it all. I don't pretend to, but,
That's why it's not my.
right, exactly. So thank you for the staff who had input on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very
What
much.
about you folks that are directly affected by the working relationship with the banks?
Right.
That's exactly.
So you guys be working with the Augusta branch, I'm assuming?
For Northeast.
Yeah.
And let this on a Wednesday.
And that's my,
September.
that's
And
my,
they have courier service for us as well, yeah.
and it's nice that they're local because Androscoggins and Livingston, so they're not as local for us. Even though Jason was very accommodating.
And Jason lives, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, he doesn't live.
He
far
doesn't
from
live
here.
very far from here.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. So, I'm glad we'll be back with Jason. I know that you've all enjoyed working. Good. All right, just so we have some appointments and resignations. So Kristen Evans is interested in being on the library board. I haven't seen Kristen Evans for many years. She's a babysitter of my
You've known
kids.
me since I've been Kristen Evans.
Probably not. I think it was Kristen Ray back in the day. So it's nice to see you again.
You too.
I move that we appoint Kristen to the library board.
Second.
And any discussions, maybe Kristen, you could tell us a little bit about why you're interested in being on the library board.
Well, I grew up in North Belgrade and now I'm raising my two kids. They're 7, 4. Apologize for being late. My 4-year-old still will only go to bed for me, and so I cut a little bit short. But I thought they needed someone that was younger, and I thought it'd be a great way to follow the community, and I've been to a few meetings so far, and it's great, so.
Super.
Yeah.
Do your children have library cards yet?
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Not too great.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kristen? All right, all in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Nobody? Carol?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so 4 yeses, thank you, and the library will be very happy to have you on board.
Okay.
Can I always say, welcome aboard?
Thank you. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, to get signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. And next we have an appointment of Tracy Lloyd as animal control officer.
Now, I just want to double check this because I thought we were having an animal control officer and a deputy animal control officer. And so when reading the stuff that across, that instead it was gonna be a split position. And I thought we were kind of, that was still the lead.
He will be because he's the senior person and knows so much, and we had a chat about
Deputy then?
helping, you could call her a deputy, absolutely. He'll be helping Tracy learn the ropes, and I'm sure she's going to have a ton of questions for him. Yeah, and we got the phone set up today, so Jeff can grab that tonight too. We're providing a phone so that you don't have to use it.
And then you folks will just coordinating and, so we'll put the tree at the town office.
And so will it, or do you still have to work out the schedule as far as alternating weeks or alternating every 2 weeks, or that's?
Yes,
still
they'll,
to be-
Work out.
they'll work that out.
But
Yeah.
let us know.
Yes.
But it's great to have
Because
the,
one of the things is that if somebody calls one of us, like, you know, when we had a loose cow, I got the phone call. I have to know who to call, but if we have one serial number, that helps, but it's nice to know who's gonna pick it up on the other end. So maybe if we just got a monthly schedule of who was gonna be on when.
Yeah, once you all work that out, let me know and I can push that out to the board. And,
So in our
and front
interview,
office.
though, I
as
thought
well.
that we were bouncing off each other the whole time. So like if he couldn't get to a call, he would call me, or if I couldn't get to something, we would bounce off of each other. That's what I was told in the interview.
We're going to do
I just wanna make sure that I
either
understand.
when you're certified, because you have
Yes.
6 months to do that, your
Yes.
training.
Yes.
You can either work out to do 1 week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. So you would have the phone, and if a call comes in, you would answer it
Right,
the next week or 2 weeks. Jeff would have the phone, and if a call comes in, Jeff will answer it. But after you're up to speed so that you feel comfortable.
But if there is a situation where during the week or 2 weeks that Jeff has the phone and he
Right.
has some family emergency.
Right.
Then,
Then
we
it
can't
could-
call each other.
It
Right.
should go
There's
to
a call
her
and
and
go to
she
this.
could
Right.
send something.
he
to
would
you.
call Tracy,
Yeah,
she
I'm
wouldn't
sure.
necessarily have the cell phone.
Yeah,
She would just have to go. to the
Yeah,
call.
That's,
Yeah,
Between the two of you to work out.
yeah.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Or when there was out a call and there's another call that comes in.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There could be two crises at the same time.
Heaven forbid. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other questions, Tracy?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page.
I'll get you two together and we can, talk about all the
Yeah.
particulars so that, yeah. Have you gotten your, training email yet? From the
Was it
state?
sent to the same email that you've been emailing me to?
Yes. Okay. They're a little slow,
No. It's okay.
the state.
Then I move
Okay.
that we appoint Tracy Malloy as the deputy animal control officer.
I second that.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
and how about yes, 4 yeses? Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So I gotta fix your paperwork now, to deputy, but if you would come in sometime this week and get it done.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, if not, I'll just fix it, so if it's sitting here, if I'm not.
The harassment training done before the signing.
She'll have to have that, all of her paperwork. We don't have any of her paperwork yet.
Thank you, Tracy. Glad to have you. Then we have a resignation by Bruno, has resigned from the Lakes Committee due to, a new job. I don't even know what that is. But, seems as if it won't.
Yeah.
It won't be compatible with the Lakes Committee.
We
So,
definitely kept it with regret,
With
because
regret.
he's a really knowledgeable guy.
Yeah. So, I move that we accept Mike's resignation, with regret, and should we send a certificate of appreciation?
Absolutely.
I second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so 4 yes. And Tracy, you're welcome to stay, and also welcome to leave. We've made you official. Thank you, John. Okay, so, I move that we open discussion of the Sandy Cove culvert issue.
Second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So, Lorna, do you want to get us started on this?
Yes, and we have Jason
That's Jason.
and Lynn on Zoom. So Lynn contacted me and she and myself and Jason met. There is a large culvert that runs from past the ditch, I think, right, Lynn? But it goes under a private road and empties onto private land, but the water that is diverted is from the road, so it's town. It's public, it's town. And I believe the culvert has been in place for many, many years. We have no idea who put it in. But the association there has asked the town to fix that so that it does not drain onto the private property. Jason did go out and take a look to see what would need to be done. And Jason, you can explain a little bit better. I've given the board this, which is, Jason gave this to me this morning, a quick estimate of what needs to be done and the cost involved. It would also, if the board approved, it would also involve an easement from the association to the town so that we could fix it. And I also reached out to MMA Legal. You have that information as well, their opinion on it. Jason and Lynn are both available for any questions, and Jason, maybe you can explain better, you know, about roads and ditches and all of that. Better than I.
Well, so in the past, Morris has always kind of pushed it away, saying that wasn't our problem. So I went out and I measured it from the center of the road to the edge of the culvert's 30 feet. So it is our water that's draining out across this culvert. So if it does fail, our ditches are going to back up. So in order to fix it, we'd have to move it into the town right away. So I'd have to, there's a paved entrance into that camp road. So I'd have to cut the pavement, move it into our right of way, upsize the culvert, and then the next driveway down, we would have to ditch that culvert and upsize that culvert, which is paved driveway, and we'd have to cut that driveway also. So it entails a little bit of work to change the water pattern and to change the water from going onto private land back onto the town land, basically.
Thank you, Jason.
And so is the land that is draining onto association land or individual landowners' land?
I would say it goes across association, then on to individual landowners. Is what I would say. I mean, Lynn would probably know better. She would probably know better.
You're
You're
muted.
muted.
We can't hear you.
I would say it goes across the association road and then onto private land.
No, Lynn
Yeah,
was trying to
Lynn-
talk.
Yeah,
Oh.
Lynn wanted to talk, but she's muted.
Oh,
Lynn, can you push your space bar? That should unmute you.
Gotcha, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, I think Jason's given an accurate summary. We don't know, this culvert has been there for probably 40 or 45, 50 years. We have no idea who put it in, whether it was the town or a logging company or whatever. But it does drain a town ditch. It's currently working, but it's very old. So the HOA would prefer that it be on the town right of way versus going under our private road and draining onto our private property. Jason was not able to find an easement from Sandy Cove Road, which I'm not surprised at because it was put in a long time ago. And it is the only ditch in Belgrade that drains onto private property. Jason researched that. So what our preference would be is that the culvert be relocated onto the town right of way. And so that's our first request. And that's why, we're discussing it, I guess, tonight. And the backup position would be for the town to get an easement from us to continue to run it under our road and onto our private property. Did that answer the question?
I think I'm stuck on the last one.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat
So
that?
what was the last part of what your statement was? Because it sounded like you said that the town would need an easement to continue having the water along the whole.
Correct.
But when you're looking to have happen, sorry, what you're looking for to happen is for the town to put the new culvert into the water away from private property to town.
To run it along your town right of way. And Jason, and I don't want to speak for Jason, I know he's on the call, has said it would be easier for him to maintain it than to maintain it the way it's set up currently.
yeah, the way it's right now, it's more on private land. We'd have to put the culvert onto the town property.
Jason, what happens? If fails.
It's echoing for some reason.
Yeah, it's very echoing. I don't know, I just started talking.
Mute. Can I mute her? There we go. Try it now.
Better, yes.
Yeah, better, okay.
Thank you. So what happens if the culvert that is there right now, what happens if that fails? Our ditches will back up, correct?
Yeah, but their road will also wash out and hence. So there'll be a double whammy. If their culvert plugs, it'll probably affect their road and plus our ditches. So they would have to fix it, I guess.
Bruce?
So this is a question for Jason. So of course, that's a pretty good size hill and it's draining off a pretty good size hill. So when that gets to the bottom of the hill there, do you have plans to divert that onto the town property at the bottom of the hill so it doesn't flood over the Dunn Road or?
Yeah, we'd have to help the ditches out and. I mean, luckily there's no development down through there where McGee had cut and everything, so there's not a bunch of other driveways to tend to right now. So we could divert some water easily without interfering with other people's culverts and driveways and that type of stuff. So.
Yeah, I do, we're fortunate because we own the property at the bottom of the hill, so we're
Right.
fortunate.
It's all doable. It's gonna cost some money and I just don't wanna, I mean, Morris is always in the past kind of, because I had talked with him, this was a year or two ago, and he never stepped up and took care of it. I don't know if it is our responsibility. That's where the fine line is. So I just need to know whether I should fix it or what we should do.
So, I guess my recommendation would be, this has been like this for 45 or 50 years. Does it behoove us to do the best research that we can to see where the water can be diverted back onto town property without creating an additional issue down the road? Because this was clearly put there for a reason. Nobody puts a culvert in just because they think it looks pretty. So, and if we're looking at an expense that's not built into your current budget, you would be pulling money away from something else to cover this for this year. Where my best case scenario would be, do a little bit more research, how we can possibly divert it, what will be the long-term consequences if we divert that, and build it into your budget for next year. 51 years or 50 won't matter a whole lot in the scheme of that, but it may if we rapidly make a decision and then we find that now we've created a vernal pool where there shouldn't be one in the spring or, things like that, then we've got more.
Yeah. Bruce?
The other thing, you guys may want to contact Jack Sutton, because he's owned a camp down there for probably, and probably the one that put that culvert in was Kevin Hodges' father, and I don't know if Kevin was working for his dad when that done, but I do know that how the road was built by Hodges. So.
Jack did contact me and said that it needed to be done.
I just didn't know if he knew the history of it.
Yeah. I have a question for Jason on the picture that shows the culvert and then the truck. As I am listening to what you're saying, the section, that small paved section that's right at the entrance to the camp
Yep.
road, that's where the new culvert would go, right?
Yep.
So there would be a ditch there that would be parallel to the road.
Correct.
But it would be on the town right of way as opposed
Correct.
to on the public property.
Yeah.
So you're just basically talking about moving the culvert, I don't know how many, what is that, I don't know, 20 feet or something.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But
and-
so that's why you'd have to take out that,
Yeah.
paving.
Right.
And that's because that's where the culvert would go and then the ditches would be,
Right, and then there's one driveway down beyond that, we would have to upsize their culvert, because we'll put more flow, and we'd have to cut their driveway, which is a paved driveway. And then from there down is pretty much raw land that doesn't have any driveways or anything, so we could do whatever we need to do down there. Cause luckily, if somebody goes to install a driveway later, they'll have to upsize because we'll put more flow down there, but. Right now, it wouldn't affect anybody, just 2 driveways, just the Sandy Cove Road and the next one down, so.
So when the water's flowing down to wherever it ends, is it going into the lake?
Well, I mean, no, not directly, it's. Eventually, everything kind of drains towards the lake, but there's a brook down there and where that, no.
I mean, I would suggest that before you go diverting it, that maybe you get Charlie Bader from 7LA to come out and say,
Yeah.
if you're diverting this water, then you may need to do some switchback runoffs or something, so that over time, as development comes, it's heading into the lake, that we plan ahead to keep the dirt out of the lake, which
Yeah.
is the ultimate goal.
I would say it goes into the same low areas where it's gonna go now. I mean, it all goes down into the low area, down at the bottom of the hill. We're just
Yeah,
we're just moving it over probably, well, whatever, 20 or 30 feet. So it's gonna end up in the same area, but just in a different spot in that area, I guess, if you understand.
yeah, and my concern would you have more force coming one way that. I just think it needs to be looked
Yeah.
at.
No, I agree. That's why, yeah, we're doing this.
Well,
Mary?
I just have a quick question. So do we have the authority to go down a private way, and what's the liability to the town? Because that's all privately owned, so you're talking about going down to the next driveway. Well, that's a liability to the town. It's all private, none of it belongs to the town of Belgrade. It's an insurance liability.
The driveway is in the town right away. The next one down is,
Oh,
would be-
down the hill?
Yeah.
Down the hill,
I
not
thought you
Yeah.
meant downhill to Sandy Cove.
so
No,
that, the next
Yeah.
driveway down has 2 culverts in it. It has one way out by the road, which where we'd be upsizing, but they also have one in the middle of their driveway, which this water flow goes across, if you can kind of picture that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep,
I do.
and Jason is, in this picture that Barbara referenced, I think we can see a little bit of that driveway that you're talking about.
Yeah,
That- Just so,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
if you look kind of carefully, I
Right on
think
the
that's
side.
the one, yeah,
Yeah,
so, gotcha.
hmm
So is there an emergency to do this now? Is there any?
Is there an emergency, Jason, to do this now?
I
Can
wouldn't
we
say
wait
so.
till
No,
20?
it's handled all the weather we've had right now.
Certainly had a lot
It's
this year.
still, it looks like it's gonna hold up. I mean, for another year, I would say. I mean, I wouldn't say it's gonna hold up for 10 years, but I would say it's gonna hold up for another year. I don't see where it's really causing any issue right now. The water's going through it and it looks like it's stable, so. But,
So this could be put into your budget and done next year.
yep.
Okay, Lynn?
Can't
You're
hear.
muted.
On the
Space
space
bar
bar
again, please.
There we go. I would agree that, right now it's holding up. The whole reason we're raising this issue is because it's so old. It's one of the old concrete culverts. And so we're trying to be proactive about this. And I think it could be budgeted for next year and we would be okay. I agree with in other words, I agree with Jason.
Okay, yes.
Wait,
No,
Lynn, okay, mute Lynn. I did it. Thank you. Sorry, Lynn, you have the echo.
All right, so I make a motion that we request that the road commissioner put the Sandy Cove culvert in his budget for the 2024 season. And see what else might need to be done. It would give us a little more time on an easement too, and to find a little bit more information about maybe from Kevin, see if there's any other history that we can pull to see if there is an easement already in place, and if so, then this is a moot point. We may have to replace a culvert, but maybe not do all of it, if there is one.
I'll
So-
talk-
Motion,
Contact
right?
7,
That was a motion. Okay, so let's just put in the 2024 budget and do a little bit more research.
And Carol seconded.
I did second it.
Okay, any more discussion?
First, I do,
Okay.
Lynn, thank you for bringing it up, Jason, thank you for doing the research on this. This is an important topic, so thank you very much.
I'll talk to Seven Lakes Alliance too and see if there's any issues with the water flow towards the lake too.
Right.
Charlie, so, yep,
Yeah, you've worked with Charlie, right?
yeah, I work with him often, so,
I thought you did, yeah.
okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh,
Yes,
Peter, Melanie,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, 4 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you,
Yeah.
Will.
No problem.
really good to be able to hear about these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't, I try to look through the drive up sometimes, but they don't usually scan it on camera.
Doesn't look like you have to go too far, it looks like it's all quite visible from the down the road.
Yeah.
All right, I move we discuss public works and fire department reserve accounts.
And seconded.
Thank you. Laura,
Bruce reached out, to me to see about, because there had been discussion previously, when the board voted to put the $500,000 to Public Works Reserve on the town meeting warrant. There was discussion, or some assurance that if we didn't need that, that it could go back to undesignated. So Bruce reached out to me and asked if it were possible to get warrant articles on for the November ballot. One which would put that money back to undesignated from Public Works, but then to move 500,000 from undesignated to the Fire and Rescue Reserve, for a new building. I did check with Mary because I knew she has deadlines for that ballot, which that ended last Friday, the 11th. So we weren't able to get this to you in time for that, but it could be on the town meeting warrant if the board chose to do that. And Bruce is here to answer any additional questions.
I mean,
You haven't had that same reception. I was like, oh,
I mean-
that's good, that's again, doesn't it? We can request to come back out. But I'm also more of a fan that it goes on the March one, because November, we're lucky, if it's not a presidential election, if we get 50 people. So that's not.
well, this November, I think there's gonna be a big vote this November.
Yeah, there's 8 referendums.
Yeah, so I think
Are
it's pretty
there?
good stuff, yeah,
8 referendum.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
and so at what time, what would be the deadline for voting on this for the March town meeting?
The warrant articles.
January?
Yeah. I think it was.
End of January.
January.
In June.
Yeah, no, not end,
No.
like the 15th or something. I'd have to go count my
We
days.
should go to the end.
I mean, do we want to just go ahead and? go to-
Well, what we need to know is at the end of the year, what's left in the undesignated fund before we decide to craft a warrant article. We know 500,000 is going back in, but we also need to see what else we may need to balance the budget out of the undesignated.
Right.
Good point.
So, but yes, I'd be more than happy to consider.
I mean, we can, as long as you got, you know, basically, me and Laura talked once we found out it was a deadline. Had already was gonna pass before the meeting that, basically, I think was to give you guys to kind of throw it around.
Advance notice
Yeah.
or request to you so
Right.
you could consider it
And
prior.
maybe, you know, we're coming into budget season,
Right.
throw this at the budget committee. And then we can throw, you know, the budget committee can throw it back at the board, you know, one way or the other.
See what sticks.
Seems to make sense.
We just wanted to get it before you.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So we want to decide this in December or January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the budget process.
Ideally December, so come January, it's fine. Because that's the final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like January.
Not a long meeting this time.
Huh?
Not a long meeting this time, please.
So conceptually, this is good. Melanie, thanks for bringing up the idea about how to do the mechanics of it at the end of the calendar year as we get ready for more budgeting decisions. So that's helpful for me to learn how that goes. Thank you.
Well, you never know what's coming down the pipe.
Right? Could be anything.
Okay, other business.
So Ken sent over, I forwarded that out, to you about the roof. Estimate. And. So he was interested in, bringing to the board, a request to get an RFP out. Because he said that he does have the money in his budget this year. If we could get an RFP out and a decision made, maybe we could get it done prior to winter. He said it's long overdue. Bruce, I know you have some probably additional information.
So, kind of a little history on it, back in the year we had the Thanksgiving storm, took some roof damage. Then we took some storms since then. Unfortunately, the facility back then was asked to make insurance claims, no insurance claims ever got paid, so. Unfortunately, it's coming out, we're gonna have to take it out of the budget to do it. We do have, I think they said it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the roof at this point, when we have real severe rains. Every time we get a hard wind, since we've had them bad spots, we get a hard wind, we lose more shingles. But the sad thing is the roof is not that, part of that roof is not that old, but unfortunately. The storm, the Halloween storm really did the number on us.
So can I ask, I know we were working on like a 5-year and 10-year plan for the transfer station, and this is the first time I'm hearing about the roof. So I guess my concern is that we put money in the budget to cover the overages that we were gonna be accruing this year from disposal fees and other things, but we didn't budget for a roof repair. And that's one of those things that I don't like the surprises. If we knew that this was coming, then we should have been budgeting for it. Because I don't like when we divert funds that are scheduled for one use and that's what the taxpayers have approved and then we divert them for something else.
So that's in the 1 to 3 year plan. The roof is, it's in it's in the minutes. I don't know if you guys read the minutes from the transfer station, but it's in the minutes of the transfer station.
I don't see them,
Yes.
I've asked for those to be sent over, but I never see them.
Oh, that's
Ever. No agendas, no minutes.
okay, we'll send it out to you guys.
No,
I
and we'd
have
love to see, we would like to see the minutes from all of the committees. I really.
So
think that-
usually, right, because I've kept after them, because that is part of Corp's job, is to make sure that everyone, because it's providing transparency, like, I'm not sure why this wasn't an agenda item. Because it doesn't provide transparency, because you have an agenda, I don't know if it came in late. Or why, but
It's dated August 14th.
thrown in under other business, it should be an agenda item, just because it provides transparency to the residents on what's happening with their money. But yeah, minutes and agendas are a problem for boards and committees. But I agree with what Melanie's saying, that this is all about capital planning and the board should have a capital plan. Not just, each individual department, but we should be aware of what your capital plan is for all of the town facilities.
It sounds like this should be done sooner versus later, though.
That's, of course, I'm not an expert, but that's my understanding, like I said, and we've been discussing it at our, committee meetings, very extensively, because we had another windstorm this spring, and we lost another batch of shingles off then, and that's when the leak, first it was, okay, we get some bad spots, but they're not leaking. And then we got that wind, and then we got that severe rain we had in April, May, or whatever, or June, or whatever, that big severe rain we had in June. We had a leak, and then I believe this rain we had last Tuesday, 'Cause I believe, yeah. So it's not that we're trying to sneak stuff, try to hide stuff, this is, stuff that comes up that we thought was gonna be in a 1 to 3 year, now it's become more critical because of the weather. Unfortunately, we have that, have these issues, it's not only that building, it's all the buildings in town, and you have stuff that comes up and. Right now, we got the, issues at the center with, there's that vent pipe. That's, I know is leaking in, and then we got around the chimney stuff that was leaking, and so was, with issues with that.
Yeah. the chimneys
And as
are
far
really
as far as transparency with the voters, the voters don't see every single little budget item when they vote on the budget, so as long as.
They both on the bottom line.
As long as.
Transparency and the agenda itself, it's an agenda item. That's
Well,
what I'm
I mean,
saying.
we're-
So it's like, it's in there, but it's not transparent to anybody who's viewing this. It's just,
But that's why you have other business for something that comes up last minute that isn't included on the agenda, and this came in yesterday.
Yeah, and I think what nobody's asking for a decision tonight other than an RFP.
right.
So we're not asking to make an expenditure. I think
Just to
that's what the
send out an
question is for the
RFP.
transfer stations.
So, and I'm just gonna put a little note in there that I shared this here, we didn't have other business.
No.
Because if it didn't come in time to be on the agenda, then we put it on to the next agenda. So I don't love other business on here, I don't love when the board. When some people know the other businesses, I appreciated a heads up on this at least today. It's the first time I've had a heads up on what was coming under other business. But I don't like this header, because when folks look at the agenda, they should know what we're discussing. But when it's just, it should be and if it's the way we always have done it. And it seems like it's the right way to do it, because it doesn't surprise people, and, nobody's like, oh, I didn't hear anything about that being discussed, I would have piped in.
And MMA recommends an other business for situations such as this, for things that come up last minute.
And
this was sent out yesterday, I
It didn't
think.
say a recommendation, it did say you could have other business.
Right, we can, an agenda is really a courtesy. An agenda is not a requirement, so we could just have.
So I guess over 20 years, what we did is we were courteous, and we should continue to do so, because that's our job, that's our role, is to always think about what is gonna be the best thing for the citizen, and how do we get them to write all the information.
Well, Mary.
And I just want to say that, not trying to. It's just like when you're making a decision on things though that are financial, to me, it should be listed as an agenda item. If it's just bringing something to your attention, then that's something I consider other business. But a financial item, I guess, and I get it was an emergency. But the emergency has been there because we've known now for several months.
This is simply a request for the board to consider putting out an RFP.
Right,
It's not an
it's not to expend the
expenditure.
money.
Right, not to expend money,
Right.
but the RFP.
Right.
It's always just give the
But
committee,
it's making a decision.
right, just giving the committee permission to write an RFP.
Right.
Well, and time is running out if you want to get it done before snow.
You're right.
So I think it's appropriate to come up with the last minute under something like this. Because we are not asking to spend money.
I agree with Melanie, I agree with Mary, is I don't like the other business stuff, because I look at the agenda and then, I also prepare myself for, as you guys know, I will over one of these things every go on. I prepare myself for the meetings. Yes, I do. Prepare myself for meetings and try to do as much research as I can. And having other business, this part of the other business I knew about, because I got the information Monday, like Laura got it Monday. So I knew about it. The problem, the reason it didn't come in soon enough to come on the agenda was because the company that we had look at it and give us a recommendation didn't get this up in until Monday. It
That's
was
the
after,
Bowers, that's the one that we
it
had.
was after we could have it in last week and they didn't,
We wouldn't necessarily go with this one, correct?
correct.
This was just to give us an idea of what the
Right.
cost range might be.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
this is.
that's why we wanna do an RFP, so, you know, it's a lot of money, I mean,
Right.
I think that roof, we had it done the last time, was only $6,000, so. Yeah. Yeah. But I could be, it's falling apart. So.
Get what you pay for, right, Bruce?
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on the of having, do an RFP? Do you need a motion?
I don't know, I mean, I mean, that's why, that's why we're not trying to hide anything, we just, right. We just, all we wanna do is be able to have permission to write the RFP and then, you know, send it out to you guys for, you guys, okay?
Then I move that we allow the transfer station to put out an RFP to replace the roof at the transfer station.
Actually, what they would do is they would put together an RFP, bring it before the board for the board's review, and then the board would approve an RFP going out.
Right.
So give permission to the transfer committee to craft an RFP.
That we would approve, that the select board would then approve.
Right.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, Carol,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
no, yes, no, but yes, 4 yeses, 1 abstention.
Thanks, Bruce. And could I go back to one thing that I think would be important, maybe? Would it be Ken that would help send out the minutes?
Yeah.
How do we just request to Lorna to ask Ken to send those minutes out? Or is that, how did that work?
I think Mary has been working
So-
on all of the committees
All
to
the
get those,
committees,
right?
and I send reminders,
Okay.
every couple of months. The only one that has really complied has been, Lakes Committee
Yep.
and Library.
The dams.
And the
Common-
dance
the
committee.
common
The
committee
dam-
has those too. I just keep
Yeah.
after people.
And whatever I see,
And the
I
dams
push out
does.
to you. Anything that comes to me, I've been pushing out, so you all have to have.
But I don't get any from,
Well,
is it Tom who does it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cause we get them, so.
Yeah.
So I'll
They're there.
Keep track of.
Well,
Well,
it's
then I
got-
can just post them, so everything's on the site. I can go.
My understanding they were being sent.
Sounds like they need to add another address to their email.
They used to be. We used to get the
Right.
transfer committee meeting minutes, the Board of Parks and Recreation meeting minutes,
Right.
because we want them.
Right, we get the cemetery.
Yes.
minutes.
Oh,
We
right.
get the cemetery.
I don't get those.
No,
And they're in the same office.
So
I don't get those.
Herding cats is tough.
Yeah, and as part of the comprehensive plan too, is providing transparency of governance, so people can go in. And
Yes.
actually, George Steele brought it up to me, he's like, Mary, the minutes aren't getting posted. So that's when I started going after the committees and
And are they posted to the website?
to the website.
Yes.
So instead of sending multiple emails to you guys about the minutes that come in, I just post them to the website, so you'll be able to go there, see an agenda or see a minute.
Yeah, I guess if they come through our emails, they look for the select board, because I don't go on our website all the time.
And I can just,
And I-
I'm forwarding, you just, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if we don't get them in a timely manner, so I can be like. That's the rest of something.
Yeah.
As much as we hate to get more email, that probably would be good for,
Okay.
when
I'll make
you
sure
have
I
them
just
to
forward
send.
them when
To
they come
send
in,
them
that,
to us.
that way you can see them
Yeah.
all.
Another block
Okay.
of line.
I mean, that's how we found out what the rain, they had Sun Across Seasons was, it was in a committee's minutes that never came to the board. Yeah, so when we had that issue, I was like, hang on a second, what happened with this? So, yeah. How is this?
I have a couple of other things, just to, let the board know we received. Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
We received a, final check from the estate of Elizabeth Wells. You might be familiar because in 2019, the Fire and Rescue Department received $75,000 from the estate. I believe they bought a boat and
Oh,
a
ATV.
and the ATV. So this is the final, distribution, $13,159.72. Fire Chief Dan brought that by and just a paper that gets signed acknowledging that we received it. But I wanted to let you know about that. That's very generous. And then we also received, you already know, but we'll do a public acknowledgement, a $2,000 donation from George Diltz for the summer concert series
In memory of George.
in memory of George Diltz. So two very generous donations to the town.
Can we send a thank you? letter
Absolutely.
For that?
Yes. Yep. Do you want me to get a card and I can, we could get a card and
Yeah, having a few thank you.
And
cards
that
around
might
is
be
probably not a bad
nice
idea.
to
I have some in my
Right.
drawer.
I'm
Do you
sure- I
have
bet
some?
you do. I
Okay.
think there were some in the closet too.
Okay.
When we started.
Yeah, those ones are, I think they're gone, but I have some. in the
so
drawer.
thank you card might be nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think it would be when we get donations and like that. I think
Yeah,
it would be
yeah, I
nice.
usually do handwritten, a little
Mhm.
note
Yeah.
card.
And Lauren and I talked and we thought, because we are receiving a lot of donations, it would be nice to have a spot
Mhm.
on our Town of Belgrade website where we could publicly display the donation and what was given and to what entity or department it was given to, but it's just a way to recognize people.
Yeah. I think
Because
it's
we're
important.
getting a lot of donations.
It's important
actually.
to do that, and it also, it may prompt others to do the
Others
same.
do the same thing.
Right, but it's also important to check to make sure that they want to have their names listed publicly.
Or-
They should have the
yeah, or
option of-
anonymous.
They should have the
Yeah.
option of
Yes.
staying anonymous.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something in the town report as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And JP Morgan, the banker there, he did ask if we could put that on our Facebook and he wanted it publicly noted.
Yeah.
It
And-
was
and-
in memory of,
Yeah, and George's son Ian is an executive with JP
Right.
Morgan Chase.
yeah, and that's what he said. I think it was Brian, someone. Yeah, like they just paid with a credit card over the phone and they weren't taking no for an answer, so. Yeah, okay. Your money.
Very kind.
It was very generous.
It gave the conference gave George a lot of pleasure.
Yeah, that's what he said. He called and I talked to him for a little while.
Okay. Now are we ready to open warrants? Yeah, and we start looking at our warrants. So we start with, I don't seem to have them all here, but,
Yep, you,
no, I have the numbers, but, okay. So we're starting with payroll warrant number 88. Is that correct? My
payroll
94.
warrant 94.
94, so we've already done 88 to 93, that's not this week.
No, that's not, that's old. That's from last time. That's from the last meeting.
See, I wasn't here in person.
And I did the same thing. I was like, hold on, which ones are these? Which ones are these?
It's like, I think it I know,
I think it was in your box
88
from the
93,
last.
I don't have any documentation on. It's gonna be helpful.
So do you have 94?
I have 94.
Okay.
Are you cold?
Sorry.
The air is blowing, right?
So we should sit over there
That's
instead.
correct.
Okay, I move that we approve payroll warrant number 94 in the amount of $28,311.50.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Ellen? Yes. Carol?
Yeah.
And I vote yes, so 4 yeses, 1 absent. I move that we approve the VMV warrant, the state payables number 95 in the amount of $4,915.12. All in favor, Carol?
Yes.
No, yes, Peter?
Yes.
All vote yes, so 4 in favor, 1 absent. AP warrant number 96, move that we approve AP warrant number 96 in the amount of $63,983.60.
I second that.
Thank you. Any questions on the warrant?
This is 96.
This is 96, the AP warrant. Yeah, that is.
Page 1. From Andrew Vincent. And this,
He's the community reading author. He's,
okay, because there's a couple of special revenue. So what is it, where,
it's an account, if the Lebanon Estate is an account that provides funding for bringing in main authors.
okay, and so is it under?
Library.
Would it be special, okay, so it needs to be under library, that's why,
It's library, but it's a special account.
that's why I'm asking. So
Yeah.
it should be under library, right?
Yeah, but it's,
Special, but that's okay, it's just like, you know, it's Belgrade Central School, DC Stevens Fund, you
Right.
know, so just for clarification, so I wasn't showing that. And the current fees that we pay, can we get a little bit more summation when we have a handful of these?
what page is that on?
It's the bottom of page 1 and then the top of page 2. So when we have a permit, can we just make sure that we see what that permit is for, the receivable funds, monthly retainer, we don't need. So the appeal, just so that we're keeping a handle on, and the Barnett versus Susie, I'm not sure that I'm aware of what that is.
All of that gets forwarded out to you, anything that Phil sends with regard to that.
I don't know.
Any
Saying something with Susie.
I'll make a note to go back through email and, whatever I have, I'll forward out again.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we did a fruit basket. What did we do a fruit basket for?
Yeah.
Nick,
No,
when your father won.
I was thinking that was what it was, but I was like, to do some colors, to do some fruit.
No, I love flowers for Nick. It's not really flowers.
It was better.
He loves his fruit though, so.
And then under page 7, when we do lien discharges, we also used to get a notification on what we were discharging for liens. So if we can maybe get back on that.
That's under registry of deeds.
Yeah, that is a registry of deeds. And the last question I have is on page 9. I'm assuming I know the answer, but we should never assume. Turf doctor, Center for All Seasons treatment, does not say what for. Is that runs at the Center for All Seasons? And if so, you know, what are we putting there?
I don't know what it was. Give me a minute and I'll grab the.
Because we couldn't take treatment and I would bring it the day spray.
Because we already had mosquito banditos come in, so last year what happened was we paid 2 different entities to do the same job. So the mosquito banditos already came in and did the tick spraying in the beginning of the season. So I was like, what?
Poison ivy.
What's that?
I need them to come in.
That's important.
So Melanie, if we had a little bit more description, would we see like the words poison ivy right next to CPAP treatment? Is that where we would see that?
Yeah, or I would say, right, so up here where it says Center for All Seasons treatment, I would put poison ivy. You know, just so.
Yeah,
I don't think
In
that
his
shows,
defense, he can't put too
you
much
only,
because it
you only
doesn't-
get so much.
it
from
only
it.
has so
Yeah,
many digits to
it's
it.
limited.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just ask the questions.
and I had a question on page 8, the Spectrum Property Management Dalton deposit. Is that the transfer from Greg Perkins?
Yes, from
That
Perkins
he
to
was, that's the
Spectrum.
deposit that he was.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Hi, Dan.
Coming in hot with Dan. So did we voted this one?
No, we haven't voted on it yet. We're discussing. We have a motion and you second. Okay,
Did you have any questions on the AP warrant, Dan? Oh, you're still connecting?
okay, all in favor? Give it. No,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so 4 yeses, 1 absent. And then we have payroll warrant 97. I don't have an amount.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh. okay. Payroll warrant number 97, I move that we approve payroll warrant number 97 in the amount of $26,395.76. All in favor?
Yes.
No, yes, Peter?
Yep.
And I'll vote yes, so 4 yeses, 1 absent. Oh, we have 2.
Dan's in.
That's it. Dan, do you want to vote in favor of the payroll warrant?
Yes.
Okay, 5 yeses.
I'm having
Okay.
trouble with the computer, so I'm still playing. We're trying to get my headset working, so I may be in and out, so.
Okay, all right. I move that we approve the B&B state payables warrant number 98, in the amount of $7,967.21. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
No, yes, Peter.
Yes.
Yes, Dan?
Yes, if you can hear me.
Okay.
Yes.
Dan. Okay. Ivan favor. No, I do have that. That one here.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't see it. Okay. Town managers report.
Included that with your board packet.
Yep.
So not sure if you had any questions. I also included the invoice that you will see on a future warrant for the chimney work that was done at Center for All Seasons. They did run into some issues. They were much worse than originally thought. In fact, were super unsafe when they started to do that. So I did give you a bit of an explanation in my report about that.
So, under the price where it says running total.
Huh?
Huh?
What?
Oh, well, on this invoice,
Oh, running total. Yeah.
running total. So. I guess that's just, this is how much it took, running total.
It's not still running, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Hopefully it's gonna stay in place for a while.
Yeah. that's what-
Right.
And not run off the roof.
Oh, this is an estimate.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was.
So it is a running total.
It is a running total. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Will they be able to use the fireplace? After that.
Sorry?
repair?
I don't think they use it now, do they?
Well, they can't.
I don't think they
It's
do.
It's an insurance, I think it's insurance reasons.
Yeah, you
Is that
can.
what it was?
Yeah.
I think it's because it was, yeah, disrepair.
Then why do we have that?
Maybe it
was disrepair.
maybe that's why it was the insurance issue.
Right.
Well, we should check, because why would we have a fireplace if we
I
can't
know,
use it?
because we did use it initially.
Yeah.
When we built the place, we used
So we should
it.
just check back with our
Maybe we would
insurance
have an
company.
insert put in it or something that, you know.
Like again.
For the
you
ambiance,
Turn off
you know.
and on and so,
Yeah.
cause like, you know, there's
Yeah,
that
it
fear
could
of
be
what if
nice
somebody, what if somebody rents it for like a fire?
For the
somebody
ambiance.
else.
Yeah. I don't know.
Check,
I'll
find
check
out.
it. Yeah.
Good.
One thing I didn't notice on here, Linda, do you have a big vacation coming up, right? You have
I do.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I didn't see anything on that anywhere, and it'll be, it's the beginning of September, right?
Correct.
So,
I'll have your board packet ready for your first meeting in September. I think that's the 5th. But Mary will need to do the board packet for the second meeting. I won't be back in time to do that,
and then there.
but we'll go over all
For
of
the
that.
interim town manager while you're on vacation, right? Cause you'll be on vacation.
I don't know if is that what you do when a town manager takes vacation?
Are you out of the country?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we would have.
Yes, but
Mary
that's what you
acting
normally
town-
do.
Acting town.
Yeah.
Bruce?
When are we starting budget?
when I get back.
when you get back. So you're gonna, send out, probably to the budget committee. I don't know, do we have a full budget committee? Anybody know?
I think you may be one shy.
Jack was on it, wasn't he? But he's not.
He's not continuing.
No.
Yeah, just if
So
you,
actually, I think you're full. You have Scott, you have Sarah, you have John Hall, yourself. I was just looking at it today.
just maybe give notice to the
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
committee, something sent out to them, and just give them an idea of when. Cause yeah, I think last year, we did a kind of before the budget went out, we kind of just did a brief meeting, just a meet and greet and just kind of give out what we are, you know, what the budget committees is looking for from the department heads.
So we
Yeah.
know what to work with.
So,
You used to have a board of 10. Do we have
Not a budget.
remember they had that whole table
yeah, it
at
used to
town
be
meeting?
huge, but, yeah, it used to be huge, but I don't think you can get, I don't, unless there's enough people been asking, but I don't think they've been able to fill it, like,
Right, the Parks and Rec went from 10 to 7, the library board went from 10 to 7.
even from the transfer station, yeah.
Is Katie, did she resign from,
She did resign.
I thought so,
She
so
did resign.
there's that opening then.
Um, mm, but it's
Is Tom Dow
Penny
still on it?
Morale,
Penny Morale, that's right.
Bruce Bluch, Gary Muller.
And Gary.
Gary
Muller.
Muller.
Yeah.
That's it, that's
So
it.
Sarah, John Hall,
So it's
Penny
a
Morale,
full house.
Bruce,
Yeah.
yeah,
And their
Yeah.
experience, so.
that's 6.
It's right, and that's what the bylaws say.
Yeah, I just, you know, I think it'd be great to have, you know, I think it should be a brief meet and. You know, give our, as, you know, give our report back, you know, what, to you guys, what we're. You know, and to the department heads, yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
So when do you normally start working on the budget? August?
August,
I think last year it was September.
We started September
Because,
6th, we were.
right, you had come and.
Yeah, I think-
through.
I think
So-
things were already sent out by the time I came in. And then Nick and I were meeting with department heads, like the first couple of weeks I was here.
usually, stuff is back in and start reviewing by the first October,
They send out packets,
yeah.
so.
If you gotta get it out soon enough, so the committees get a chance to have their meetings before it's due back in. That's the biggest thing we run into for council.
Okay, anything else?
Were we doing anything with property maintenance contracts?
I gave you copies so you could take those and review them. I believe you had requested when you initially reviewed what Jane gave us, you had a lot of changes and updates to those, so you asked for those changes to be made and then brought to you at a future meeting so that you could review them. So she has sent the updates, so I've given it to you, so probably the next meeting.
Next meeting. just
Um,
approve it.
You could make a decision on them, but at least you have time beforehand. to look at them.
Mhm. Good.
Move that we have a 3-minute break. Before we. if we move into it.
No, I'll second that, great.
All in favor?
I just want to say thank you to the board for considering the reviewer. I think it's gonna be good in the long run. And we'll see, you know, doing it on a trial basis.
I move that we that we exit the public meeting at 8:11 PM and enter executive session. Also at 8:11 PM.
Second,
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Donna? Yes. Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
yes.
Okay, 5 in favor.
Motion that we adjourn at 8:40.
8:40.
Second,
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes,
yes.
Yes.
okay, 4 yeses.
I think Dan,
Dan's
said
gone.
yes, he's like, ah.
Dan's gone. Okay, I move that we,
Do we
Oh.
start the recording again?
She did.
Yeah, we're on.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so make a motion that we re-enter the select board meeting,
And
date 41.
second that,
all in favor? Yes,
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, Carol, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, make a motion that we adjourn. Oh,
Oh.
hold on, sorry.
No action was taken
No
during the
action was
executive session.
Since we're in a regular.
Yes,
I'm gonna open this up.
okay. Okay,
Now,
I'll second your motion to adjourn.
at 8:41 still.
Okay.
Peter?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, 4 yeses to adjourn.
Yeah, having all that stuff to review for the banking like ahead of time, because we would have been here for tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very